Good morning, Facebook family and friends. This is Dr. Mama Rosie Thompson. Saturday morning, excuse me, every time I use my inhaler, I have to call for a moment or two. Anyway, good morning again. It's Saturday morning with Dr. Mama Rosie Thompson. Today is August 10th, 2024, and we're yet and always will be becoming our whole authentic self. Today, we're going to talk some more about standards. We're going to talk about our self-efficacy, and we're going to talk about how to develop our self-efficacy. I thought that was important, so I added that. So we'll be on that a little bit longer than I had thought about in the beginning. And then we're going to talk about measuring our standards. We still are talking about standards. We talked about standards, and we'll go over a few things today. And then we're going to go talk about measuring our standards. Okay. And again, we want to thank everyone who joined, those of you who watch with me now as I go live. I really, really appreciate you. Those who will come on and watch this video later, thank you so much. And I will be posting to YouTube after today, after I finish here. And I want to thank you all for going on, those people who will go and watch via YouTube. Thank you so much. Again, I also want to remind everyone to keep me in your good thoughts and prayers as I'm working on the classes that I will be presenting to Victory Outreach Southeast, to the women at Victory Outreach Southeast. And I want to say, Victory Outreach, I'm really honored and thankful for this because my goal and my purpose is to help someone. The scripture tells me that a well man does not need a doctor. And that makes sense if it wasn't scripture. A well man does not need a physician, but the people who are not well. These women at Victory Outreach and people at Victory Outreach, it was started by a man who was actually on drugs, gang bangers. I mean, you get to meet real people at Victory Outreach. So these women are women who've gone through drug addiction, alcoholism, and other things like that. So to talk to them and other traumatic things in their lives, so it's an honor and a blessing to be able to go out and share with them some things that I've learned about trauma, dealing with trauma triggers, and those things. And so that's why I'm so honored that I will get to work with them and talk with them at their ministry. So I'm doing the classes, I'm putting together the presentations, and then I'll get them approved by the pastor and first lady, and then we'll set the date for to actually start. But just keep me in your prayers and good thoughts, and that's my goal. That's my purpose in life, is to do that. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help somebody be better than I am. So again, Saturday morning, Dr. Mama Rosie Thompson, we're talking about standards, developing self-efficacy, and measuring our standards. We did quite a bit of talk last night. We talked about self-evaluation last night, how we evaluate our standards. So we said that self-evaluation requires us to have standards that we can apply to ourselves and use our standards as a way to judge the rightness of our thoughts and behavior. We want to know if our thoughts and behavior are right. So the self-evaluation is a way to go back and look at what we do to see if we are actually living what we say. We talked about what's called a standard of correctness, which is the method that we use to evaluate our actions and ensure that we're following our own standards and our values. We stated that our standard of correctness helped us to practice self-control, which is true. When we have a standard of correctness, and it helps us to practice our self-control. For example, we ask ourselves when we're doing something, will doing this help me to get where I'm trying to go? Or does it contribute, what with saying this or doing this or responding to this, help me to contribute to the behavior that I want in my life? So we ask ourselves questions. We're always looking in the mirror of our own lives and saying, is this something that's going to benefit me? Is this going to take me to where I want to go? And those things that do not take you to where you want to go, us to where we want to go, are those things that do not align with our standards and what we want in life. We have to rethink, do we want to keep them in our life? Do we want to do something different? We talked about the self-awareness theory, which says that we are not our thoughts. So I like this a lot. What we're saying is we are like the entity that's outside looking at it. Our thoughts are not us, but our thoughts belong to us. So our actions either pass or fail. When we think about this way, our actions, the things we do, will either pass our standards of correction. They will either pass or they will fail the values that we're measuring. If we fail, we mean that we find some type of discrepancy, some type of inconsistency, or some type of disagreement between who we are and the standards that we set, what we're doing and the standards that we set. So if there's a discrepancy, if there's an inconsistency, or if there's a disagreement between them, we fail in meeting our standard of correctness. When we find that type of disagreement or that type of inconsistency between the two, we can do one or two things. We can work toward reducing that discrepancy. And you see, I didn't say eliminating it because it eventually gets there, but this is a step by step. Sometimes it doesn't happen like overnight. We're not expecting it. We're giving ourselves grace. If it didn't happen overnight, we're going to continue to do what we do because, as we say, for us, drowning is never an option. So when we find that discrepancy between the two things, we can either we work toward reducing that discrepancy, or we avoid it entirely. And most of the time, when we do avoid doing anything about it, we blame outside sources for our choice. If only they would stop. I would have done this if they had stopped coming at me. I wouldn't have done this if they had stopped. If they stopped saying this to me, if they stopped doing it. If we give outside forces the control over what we do, and we don't do that because we are in control of ourselves. We're individuals, and we're in control of our own self. We're in control of what we do. We're in control of what we say. We're in control of how we act. We don't allow other people to have any power in that. The reason being, when we allow other people to have power, that means that we need that other person to stop doing what they're doing in order for us to get to where we're going. And that's not going to be that's not what we do. So it's not about if they stop, they can continue to do whatever they want. They don't have to stop saying what they say. They don't have to stop doing. But what am I going to do about it? And we've talked about many things that we ourselves can do about it. It's about me and what I want in my life, my own self-care, and this is what I'm going to have in my life. You do whatever you want to do. That's why I think I shared with you one time. I was talking to a friend, and she was saying that somebody was trying to use me, and I said they couldn't. And she's like, yes, they can. People use people all the time. Well, they can't use me. You do whatever you want, but I decide what I'm going to have. I decide what I'm going to allow. And I don't always decide to have the best in my life. I don't always make the best decisions. I don't always decide that I'm not going to have something. I know it, but sometimes it takes time. And sometimes I don't do it right away. So we give ourselves grace. Don't be hard on yourself ever. And remember that, but I want you to also remember that we always have a role to play in our successes and in our failures. We have a role to play. And we never give anyone or anything that much power in our lives to control our successes or our failures. We don't even give them enough control. They don't control our failures. If we fail, it's because it's something that I didn't do or I could have changed. We always have some control over our standards, and we can even alter our standards if we find that we have set impossible standards. Sometimes they're impossible, and we have no chance of succeeding in the standards that we have set. Excuse me. So if we find that, one example for that, we may say that we're going to run 5 miles a day, but we have some physical or some mental limitation that prevents us from doing it. So sometimes we have control of our standards. We can even lower our standards. And that's not always bad either. Remember now, think about it. I told you last week, the therapist offices are full with people who have held themselves to some impossibly high standards, and which effectively give them no chance of success when comparing themselves to their internal standard. There's no chance for them even to succeed in doing what they've done. But if we believe that if we can improve or align our standard with our correctness, if we believe that, then we start to take action, and we do believe that. A note on here is our goal is to consistently raise our behavior to meet our standards. We want to consistently raise our behavior to meet our standards and our values. We do not lower. Our goal is not never to lower our values to meet our behavior. We want to do it the other way because we're becoming better. We're becoming whole. There are many standards that people can set, but our focus is on personal, or the self-standards, I call it. We're becoming whole, and our path is personal, and it's about our own self-care. That's what this is about. Our self-standards, these are personal. They are essentially the set of rules or guidelines that we set for ourselves. They dictate how we behave, how we make decisions, and most crucially, how we allow other people to treat us. We don't set them based on how anybody else is affected. High standards can help us to command respect from other people, and they can influence how other people treat us, the quality of our relationship, and how we handle conflict. When we set standards, it does so many great things in our lives, and that's what it's about. It's about what I'm going to do to make myself better, what I'm going to do to become that whole authentic Rosa that I was meant to be. People who set and maintain high standards tend to attract others who respect those standards, and they will respect you as well. And as I said, standards can be applied to over multiple avenues of our lives. They can. They can benefit our relationship. They can benefit our financial lives, our well-being, our intelligence, our career success, so much more. The nature of the standard is that they can be applied in more than one way. So when we do set standards, they can be applied in more than one way. So such as a standard can be, I'm building my wealth, so I'm going to limit my luxury expenses to only $100 a month. I'm not going to go, for luxury items, I'm not going to go over $100 a month. So for relationships, you can say, well, we're going to have at least one date night a week, a month, or whatever. For learning and growth, it could be going back to school, to going back to get a degree. And I said last week, we can also, as a way of growth, we can fact check each of our opinions, and before we hold them, but that we hold every opinion that we hold, we can fact check it before we solidify them. We don't say that this is how it is, not necessarily. We go back and fact check to make sure this is how something is before we solidify it. And then we can also do some things just for ourselves. We can maintain one self-care act for ourselves every day. That can be something. That can be a status, something that we're working on. We said that if we really want to understand ourselves, we suggest, and here we go back to our list, and Jim brought that up last night. We said that if we really want to understand ourselves, we suggest developing a clear list of your standards. That list will reveal a vast amount of knowledge about our values, our ideas of success, and our goals. We learn a lot about ourselves. When you write down, these are my standards. Understanding which behaviors uphold your standards and which don't uphold your standards. This is going to be crucial for identifying those areas of growth and positive change. We don't want to change anything before we know what needs to be changed. Our list can also provide invaluable insight into our own unique self, as well as highlight any potential blind spot. Sometimes there are blind spots in our lives. Things that, how when we're driving our car and we got this blind spot, that car is right there, we don't see it because we're not looking far enough back or whatever reason. But there are blind spots sometimes in our life where we do and say things without even realizing that how it affects people, how it affects us, really. We do and say things. I've had people do and say things to me and then come back like they never did it. That's a blind spot. They don't even realize it. And we get upset because we think, they did that. That could be a blind spot. And we need to, I think that the more we learn about this stuff, it helps us to grow, but it helps us to look at other people differently. So instead of now thinking that they're doing something out of spite, it could have been a blind spot. When we do this will empower us to align our actions with our personal standards more effectively. Our standards can come from more than one location, one or more. They are related to our goals, our values, our purpose, our motivation, our virtues, and our vices. Each of these elements contribute to our standards being unique. They're only yours. And as we said with anything else that we've done, we always start with where we are. Create a list of our standards that we're going to follow. These are things in my life. This is what I want. This is a must-have. This is a deal breaker. That's the way mine is. This is a deal breaker. Then create a list of the major actions that took place today. So you got your list of standards. Now you're going to start to see, what am I actually doing? Not the list is wherever it is. Now I'm actually going to look at what I did today. Write that list. What did I do today? What did I say today? Who did I encounter? How did I handle that? When we look at these actions, we ask ourselves if what we did actually aligned with where I want to be. How I reacted actually aligned with where I'm trying to go. Actively look for the acts that are opposite. So we want to acknowledge those that we did the right thing here, but we're actively looking for one that are outside of our standard, the one that did not, the opposite of the standard that we set. And we raise our standards by setting and instilling good habits and eradicating bad habits. Habits are crucial to anyone who's trying to raise their standards. So that's why we do that. We look at what we do today. Because we can write our standards and say, this is, your standards are kind of like our want list. This is the want list. But the things we do throughout the day is actually what we're doing, who we are. Sometimes we say things and our actions show a different picture. We can... I talk to so many people. There's so many examples. But We say that I love talking about. Okay, we say that God's gonna supply all of my needs, but we're worried about a need. You know, so we say that, but you stressed out about I don't know what I'm gonna do, and sometimes our face shows it, our action shows it. It all shows up. If you say that you trust something, then you should be able to rest in that assurance. You know, if you trust that something's going to be okay, if you trust that, if I say that I don't allow a certain thing in my life, and I see that I'm doing that, I need to take a look at it, and that's all it is. It's giving us a mirror to actually look at ourselves to see. So we want to start eradicating those bad habits. This is not something I want to do. Sometimes a habit for me that I'm working on. Sometimes I speak too fast. I think and I say something, and I sometimes step back and say that I wish I had given it more time. So sometimes I say, well, let me talk about. I'll talk. Let's talk about that later, or something. Anything to give me a pause, because a pause is always good. Give yourself a pause. It's always good. That way you can gather your thoughts. You make sure that you're saying it the way you want to say it. And it does not mean that you have to change what you want to say. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that you can't still be forceful. You can't still be real. You can't still be honest. You can't still tell that person, I don't like what you did. But you can come to them in a way now where when you first start to talk, if we don't take that pause sometimes when we first start to talk, when our emotions are in it, the other person put up a wall. So we're trying to show them that you're overstepping a boundary. We're trying to show them that you're doing something that I don't like, that's affecting my life, and they don't see it because the way our emotion is in the conversation. So our emotions are not us, but they belong to us. So we want to make sure always take a pause. So our habits are going to be crucial. Want to make sure that we're taking a look at our habits. This is what I'm doing. This is what I need to change. We also said last week, and I know I go back, some of this stuff is a little bit redundant, but I think it's important. When we went back over, and I had a few, as always, as I have conversations, sometimes I go back on a few things, but I want to get to some other things today. I definitely just want to say this too. When we setting our standard, we talked about starting with our purpose. Whatever your purpose, whatever your mission, that's going to be a key driver to your behavior. If your mission is to save money, you're gonna your behavior is gonna align. It's gonna that mission that I'm gonna save money is gonna be a key driver to the way you act. When you go to the store, well, what am I gonna do? Because I'm saving money. I'm not gonna go when I'm hungry. When I'm saving money, I'm gonna write my grocery list when I'm saving money. So when I see that item that's not on my list, I'm not gonna put it in my cart right away, but I'm gonna add it to the bottom of my list. And when I finish shopping, if I really, really want that item, I'll go back and get it. If then I may find that item is not as important as it was when I first passed by and I don't even get it. So our mission is going to be, our purpose is going to be a key driver to how we react. Each act we take is either going to contribute to our goal or it's not. Just know that everything we do is going to be contributing to it or it's not. When we try to set our standards, consider how they're going to affect our overall purpose. That's what we do. We set high standards, they align with our purpose, but we find goals easier to achieve. So our standards they want to be something we have to work toward. We don't want something that we don't want to just have things that they just happen by themselves. We want to always work. We want to always grow. We want to always put ourselves into something. So we want to always be growing and having that time where this is not like so easily attainable that I have to make a stretch a little bit. It's really good. It's just like stretching our body and exercise. It's really good. Our reason why is intimately tied to our purpose and our mission in life. By taking the time to understand why we pursue certain goals and what we truly want to accomplish, we'll uncover our fundamental motivation and the strength that drives us to do what we're trying to do. And once we have this clarity, we can then set those standards that are aligned with our values and vision for fulfilling life. It may be that we want to, we maybe want to leave a legacy. Maybe we want to impact someone. I want to be the impact. I want mine to be my purpose, as I said before, is to help somebody younger than me be better than me. I want to see them accomplish more than I've done. I want everyone in my family and everybody to say, well, grandma went back to school and got her doctorate. And she was older when she did it, but she went to school. She got her bachelor's. She went got her master's. She got her doctorate. She wrote her book. I want them to see these things so that they can do them. That's one of the things that I think going to come up later too. That, we can say things, but when people see it, it gives them that, it helps them to actually do it better. When they actually see, excuse me, someone else actually doing it, it helps them to realize, okay, if they did that, I can do it too. Before we draft our standard, make sure we have a clear purpose. And once we know our purpose, then we could think about our motivation. Several motivations for setting personal standards. Respect. High standards can help us to command respect from other people. Achievement. This is a motivation that can help us to set standards for ourselves. This motivation it motivates us to achieve our goal. So that can be our motivation. We get one study found that achievement motivation helps to reduce procrastination. So this is something I want to do. So if this is really a motivation with me, I want to do this. I got to do it. It helps me not to procrastinate. I know that this is important to me to get this done, so I won't procrastinate. I actually get up and do it. Accountability is also a motion for setting standards. And it can be a factor to help people say, okay, I'm going to hold myself accountable to eating certain things, or hold myself accountable to doing some things. I'm going to do it. And we can have some type of accountability. The scale can be our accountability for weight loss. That's a great scale, a standard for weight, accountability table for weight loss, motivation rather, for weight loss, to get on the scale, to make sure every week we're getting on the scale. I know what I'm trying to do. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It does not. When we get on the scale and we look and we're at the same weight, or we lost a 0.2, whatever it is, we're still growing. Those are signs that we're still growing. We're still headed toward achieving our goal. And self-efficacy, this is the one I wanted to talk about, this motivation. And I wanted to go to this one a little bit more than the other ones. This is our belief in our ability to meet the standards that we set. People with high self-efficacy are more likely to choose and achieve whatever their goals are, even if those goals are challenging. In other words, our ability to achieve a goal or complete a task depends on whether we think we can do it. That's the self-efficacy. And whether we think it is we will have good results, or the outcome, is going to be good, then that's what we do. Most people with high levels of self-efficacy for a given standards are resilient and persistent in setting their thing in the face of setbacks. So I'm going here, and I have high level of self-efficacy. When I get on the scale, I know my goal, I know where I'm going. When I get on the scale, I'm persistent even with setback. Even if I go out and eat French fries, I'm not going to eat just because I ate some French fries. I'm not going to keep eating French fries. So now I'm going to go back and not eat French fries. I'm going to go back to what I was doing. So, like I said, this is not linear. So it's not like you're going to do this. I stop eating French fries, I'll never eat one. No, you don't want to give up your life. If you give up the things that you enjoy, you won't stick to these. You won't be able to stick to things. One size, I said, does not fit all. Our level of self-efficacy varies from one domain to the next, especially when there are outside forces. You may be comfortable, like an outside force, you may be comfortable to driving in the city like I am, but uncomfortable in a new one, where I don't know the roads. If I want to go someplace, I always try and know the roads before I go. If I go someplace, I want to see those roads before I go. I'm going to look up because I want to go and see if there are any comments that I need to address or anything. Okay, thank you, Daryl. Thank you for coming on. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That could be a one thing. One size does not fit all. So you may find that I'm comfortable doing this driving, but not in all places. Okay. This is when we said this is the last motivation we want to talk about, but we want to also talk about how do we develop self-efficacy. That's why I said I wanted to go into it a little deeper. Self-efficacy is informed by several main sources of information. It can be our personal experience. And we often look to that, people often look to our past experiences with similar tasks. We look for something that was similar to what I'm going through. And if I've already done something many times, we're more likely to believe that we can do it again. So sometimes personal experiences can help increase our self-efficacy difficulties. It help us to get through it. These are personal experiences. Observation. We often make judgment about our own capabilities by watching other people. If a couch potato, you got a friend who's a couch potato, and one day they're a couch potato, and they decide and run a marathon. Our self-efficacy normally would increase more by seeing them doing it because they succeeded. You know that all they did was sit on the couch. You didn't think they were in the shape to even run a marathon. Now that they have run this marathon, it kind of motivates us to be able to do the same thing. So our self-efficacy normally increases more by seeing someone else succeed rather than relying on our own natural ability. So any of us, if we are physically able, can run a marathon with train that like that movie Denzel told that little girl, we're not good, we're trained. We're trained. When you're trained, you can do it. When you're trained and you keep out, when we're focused, we can do it. We can, there's so many things that we can do. We don't put anything, we don't dismiss anything out of our life that we want to do because we don't know how. I was talking to a young lady who wanted to buy a car. And she was talking about first she was really believing God for the car. She was talking about believing God for the car, but then she had all these plans, all of these plans that had really nothing to do, nothing to do with God. I mean, so many. If this doesn't happen, then I'll do this. But I'm believing God for this one car, for this particular car. And my thinking says, you want the particular car. They're selling that particular car. Go tell them. Go. I mean, why would you wait? I mean, I understand why. Same reason I've waited. I apologize for that. But we don't have to wait to go and get what we feel is ours. If you feel it's yours, so what if it does? If you get a no, we get a no. Sometimes we're afraid of the no, so we don't go and take a chance on the yes. It's our thinking, the way we think. It's our mindset. You know, we talked about that. We have to change what we say. We control our thinking. We change the way we think. I went, and I may have shared this testimony. I went with a young lady, my daughter's grandma, and we went to look for my granddaughter's mother rather, and we went to look for a car. And when I saw the car I wanted, and I was talking to the salesman, and I said, I want that car. And he said, how's your credit? He said, I don't know what I said to that, but he asked me, have you ever had bankruptcy? I said, yeah. He said, oh, then you're not going to be able to get that car. He said, but we got a lot of nice cars. Come and look. And I'm like, no, I want that one. He's like, well, you're not going to be able to get that car. I said, okay. And I told the young lady, let's go. We can go. And she's like, we just got here. Let's at least go and look on the showroom floor. We just got here. I said, okay. But in my mind now, I'm with you because I want that car we just left. He said I can't get it. That's the only one I want. I go inside with her to look on the showroom floor. And as she was looking around, I was standing there, and as you know how they have those glass partitions, and the guys are working behind the partition. So I saw this guy, and he was looking at me. So I beckoned for him to come outside, and he did. I said, "Can you go tell your boss that I want that car?" And I told him which car I wanted, and I drove home in that car. We give up too easily when things don't go the way we think they should go, and it was okay with me. I was not in a place that I did not mind that man said I couldn't get a car. I mean, he could say whatever he want to say, but I felt like this is the car I want. I'm going for it. And this is what I do. We do with everything in our lives. If this is what you want, then you need to go for it. We allow other people to persuade us, other people to help make decisions for us. And sometimes it's out of the goodness of their heart, but they are not you. They are not me. If I had listened to people, loved ones, and I say loved ones because they really do love me, people saying to me, we're at that age now, Rosie, your house is paid for. Why would you move? You know, there may not be a good time to do that. This may not be the best decision. I sold that house, I moved, and it was the best decision I could have ever made. In my new place, I have everything that I was praying for. Everything that I wanted. When I say everything that I wanted the balcony where I could go out and I need to see people. I need to be able to open my doors and open my window. Even if I left them open and go to sleep, I'm safe. I feel comfortable. I can walk to downtown, the restaurants, even less than a block from my house. And then if I go approximately 1 block from my house, All the stores and restaurants are there. Any restaurants that I want to go to, I can walk to the grocery store. This is exactly what I needed in my life. I want to be able to go places, walk around, meet new people, and that's what I got. Okay, so yeah, we can do it. We can rely on our own natural abilities, but when we find that hard to do, we observe other people. Persuasion doesn't really have a strong effect on self-efficacy, but some will use support or encouragement from other people to increase their own. So other people trying to get you to do it may work, but it's not really strong. Emotions such as fear and anxiety can undermine our feeling of self-efficacy. For example, we can have a high level of self-efficacy for making small talk and socializing, but if we're really nervous about making a good impression at a particular event, our sense of self-efficacy can actually decrease. So it's not always the same. In order for us to apply self-efficacy in our lives, first of all, we need to treat those phobias. That's me, right? Me and flying and all this other stuff. I don't know if I actually treat them because I actually do them, but I'm not always comfortable doing them. Okay, and we see Joyce Poole. Thank you so much for joining. My Danetta, thank you so much for joining. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. And Nikita, my can I say my favorite niece? I love you and I miss you, and I will see you soon too. And again, thank you, Daryl, for joining us. In order to apply self-efficacy in our lives, we need to treat phobias. If we fear dogs, petting one is going to help decrease our fear more than just seeing them. We fear dogs and just looking at dogs, you can go to the pet shop and look at them. That's not going to decrease our fear of dogs. But if we actually can pet one, it'll help us to decrease that fear. I fly. I have a serious fear of flying. I don't like bridges. I don't like heights. Going over big bodies of water. I don't like any of that. But I do them. And it helps me. Now I'm able to do them. At one time, I used to close my eyes when somebody else was doing it for me. But now I can open my eyes, and I've even driven myself in places where I was not totally comfortable. It helps me to get better. And that's where we said we're going to continue to do those things. Slowly if you need to. But we're going to continue to do those things that's going to help us to get to where we want to go. Because as we said, drowning for us is not an option. So another thing we have to do, we have to develop healthy behaviors. Healthy behaviors. And by doing that, we embrace self-awareness. We're going to be aware of ourselves. We're going to pay attention to what we do. We're going to choose our battles. We're not fighting everything. Our behavior, we're not getting mad about everything. We're not getting on the defense about everything. We're relaxing. We know that we are in control of ourselves. We know that people can say and do whatever they want to do, and we know that we have choices. We always have choices. Sometimes we may not like the choices that we see before us, but we still have choices. We do. We want to establish clear roles and routines to avoid confusion. So we want to make sure we understand each other. That kind of goes back to when we talked about bringing our whole self. When we do that, when we bring our whole self to a relationship, you understand now that this is what I don't like. You know that this affects me. You know that this is something that I don't want to have in my life. So we establish those clear roles and those clear routines. We need to be clear in our communication. Clear, in order to avoid confusion, you need to be able to say what you don't like. You need to be able to explain what you mean about what you say, because just because you say it doesn't mean people hear what you say. You think, they know what I said. They may have heard the words you say, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they know what you said. They may not. They may not. I've heard it so many times, and I felt that same way. Share your feelings. Don't be afraid to share your feelings. I don't feel well. So what? I don't feel well. That doesn't put a damper on God being God Almighty. I just don't feel well, and I can say that. I shared with you when the lady told me she wanted me to go to an afternoon service, and I didn't feel well. I had a headache, a really bad headache, and I told her, I said, I'm not gonna go because I got a really bad headache. And the lady said to me, she said, "Oh, you tell the devil he'll lie. You just tell that devil he'll lie." So I tried to do what she said, But it ended up the devil wasn't lying. My head was hurting. Anyway, I go to this other church with her like she told me. I tell the devil he's a lie. I said what she said to say. When offering time came, and I'm sitting on the bench beside her. When offering time came, as she went to get money out of her purse fell over, and she had more than one bottle of pills. I can't even say how many, but she had bottles of pills in her purse. And it came to my mind, why can't she tell the devil he'll lie about some of that stuff that's going on with her? People, we are individuals. We do not let other people and what they think make us change who we are. We got to know that we are important. We got to know that we are all that. We got to be able to share our feelings. We can admit to our feelings. I don't feel well, and stop letting all these people who can't live that thing, if it's in their life, give you what you need to live in your life. We are individuals. We are uniquely created. We are all different. What works for you may not work for me. What works for me may not work for you. That's why I don't agree with treating people the way I want to be treated. I want you to treat me the way I want to be treated, and I will get to know you and treat you the way you want to be treated. But don't treat me the way you want to be treated. That causes confusion. My my sister, one of my sisters in Christ was saying, I was talking about a friend of hers, a family member of hers, and what she does for her, and what she does for her. But you know, that's the way you want to be treated. You want to be treated that when I do something for you, I want you to appreciate me enough to not try to take advantage of you. But that's you. That's how you want to be treated. They just may want you to give them. That may be how they want to be treated. So we got to stop connecting ourselves in senses that we're Siamese twins, that what you want is what I want. Not necessarily. In relationships, what you want may not be what your husband wants. What your husband wants may not be what you want. And just because you come together in these relationships with people, that doesn't mean that you're going to have your needs met because you're trying to, because you're thinking that that we, you know, that you're gonna give me what I need, and I'm gonna give you what you need. Not necessarily. First of all, you don't know what they need, and you don't know what they want. I think I remember telling you that when I was married, that my husband told me that I thought I was his mama, and I was just trying to be a good wife, and I was trying to be one because at the time he wasn't working, and I wanted him to not feel bad about not working. So I'm trying to do things, and share everything I had. And he told me, "You think you're my mama? Every time I say I want something, you go get it." He didn't want that. He wanted to be a man and stand on his own, even though he wasn't working. But I didn't see that. So share your feelings and set realistic expectations. Your expectations have to be realistic. Whatever that person is capable of doing or willing to do is what we have to base. Your expectations need to be set. They need to be communicated, and they need to be real. Something realistic, something that you can agree on. We ask people to do things, and we expect that to be the way it is, not all the time. Anyway, once we know our purpose and we understand our motivation, then we consider our core values. And, our core values help us to understand which behaviors are helpful in our life and which behaviors we have that are harmful. We consider what our core values are. And then when we're making our standards, we consider whether a behavior upholds these values, or that we value integrity, for an example. Offering constructive criticism could be our standard. Yeah. If integrity is important for us, then offering constructive criticism could be a standard for us. We also said that our standards come from vices, and these are the exact opposite of our virtues. These are the actions that we don't want to perform. These are the things that we don't want in our lives. When we have these, when we understand our vices, the things that I don't like, the things that I don't want, we can better understand what we really do want. We can better understand what I really want to have in my life. And that's going to be important when we're setting our standards. When we talked about, we want to also go into this one, and I think this may be the last one for today. We're going to talk about how do we set our standards, and now we want to measure our standards, and we want to review our standards. Just because we set a standard doesn't mean it has to stay. that way, the way we say we're going to do it. We are flexible because different relationships require different things. And our lives sometimes require different things. Sometimes I don't even know myself what I want. So sometimes I think I want something and I go and get it and it's there. Take the pause, think about it. When we're trying to address how well we're following our standards, we look at our behavior. That's one way to do it. We look at our behavior. That's how we check to see, am I following my standards? We know, am I behaving a certain way? I said this is what I wanted in my life, but this is how I'm behaving. I don't always follow my standards. But I always get back up and try it again. And I'll continue to get back up and try it again until I get it right, because it's my goal to be whole and authentic. See, when we know our goal, when we know our purpose, when we know where we're trying to go, we don't, just because I'm trying to get, tomorrow I'm going to the south side, tomorrow, just because I turn on the wrong street, don't mean I turn around and come back home. That means I tried again. That street didn't take me where I wanted to go. It was a dead end. There was a roadblock, but I go back and try it again. So that's what we do. I don't always follow my standard. I don't always do the thing that's leading to what I want in my life. No, but I go back. So that's what we do. We're going to give ourselves some grace. Don't be so hard on ourselves when we don't do what we want to do, but we get back up and do it again. After we've created our list of personal standards, you know, that we want to follow. And I'm always talking about another list. So we also, if we would just take the time to create a list of the major actions we took, like I said, through that day, and look at those actions. Ask ourselves, do they line up with my standards? Now, I said that I didn't want this in my life, and I allowed this to happen. That didn't line up with my standards. My standards. And we look for those that are opposite. Those are bigger. We want to proactively. It's good to be able to say, yeah, I did what I wanted to do. But it's so important to say, no, I made it. That didn't align with my standards. Because once we see that, and we see that, it helps us to make changes. Sometimes we don't make the changes because we don't see it. So we want to view those standards and consider the actions once again. We go and look at it again. Okay, I said that this was a standard for me, and then now my behavior, what I didn't align with my standards. Okay, let's go back to losing weight. I'm going to lose weight, but today I ate a pan of Haagen-Dazs ice cream, butter pecan. Let's give it some good ice cream. I ate a pan of Haagen-Dazs butter pecan ice cream. Now I go back. I got my standards. I saw my behavior. I go back and look and say I go back to my standards again. I don't go and beat my behavior down. Let me go back and check my standards. My standards is to lose weight. My standards to lose weight, but I ate that ice cream. I review my standards, then I consider my actions again. So now, if my standard doesn't need to be changed, this is really what I want to do, then that means my behavior needs to change. If my behavior is in line with what I like to see, then if my behavior works for me and it's not aligning with my standards, then maybe I need to lower my standards. Maybe I don't want to lose weight. Maybe I just want to stay the same size, gain a couple of pounds. We have to really be real with ourselves. When we measure our standards, we ask ourselves, are my compliant actions increasing? Are they decreasing? Or are they staying the same? Over time, I got these days or whatever time I'm using as a marker. These are my standards. Now, my actions. Did I continue to eat Haagen-Dazs butter pecan? Did I continue to eat the entire paint? Did I eat a half a pint? Did I cut it down to a half a pint? So, are my compliant actions increasing? If so, I may need to, if my actions are increasing, excuse me, if my actions are increasing, that means I'm headed toward my standard. If my actions are decreasing, I'm doing something, I'm not lining up to my standards, then I may need to go back and look at my standards. Are they staying the same? So if they staying the same, I'm still doing one thing and my standards are another, I'm not meeting my standards, then I need to make changes. I need to go back and look and make changes. And that part I'll say again, because that part I think is really important. Look at our standards. We measure our standards. We ask ourselves, if our compliant actions, if our actions are increasing or decreasing, or if they're staying the same. My standards say this is what I want. My action says this is something different. The amount actions are increasing. I'm doing more of what I said I want in my life. I'm good. I'm meeting my standards. I'm doing less of what I said I want in my life. Then I'm getting away from my standards. I need to look and see, maybe I need to lower my standard. Or if it's staying the same, then nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And then we make the changes if necessary. Again, I want to thank all of you who come on today. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on and looking with me. I'm looking up at the monitor again. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you all taking the time to come and be with me today. Next week, we want to talk about how to stick to our standards. Once we set our standards, we know how to measure our standards. How do we measure them? We know how to measure them. We look at our actions. Real easy. These are my standards. Look at our actions. Measure out my standards. Your actions will measure your standards. We can say whatever we want, but if our actions don't increase to meet those standards, we're not doing anything. So we measure our standards. So that's how we do. We measure by taking a look at what we're doing. So next week, a couple of things. Next week, I will be on vacation. Well, I'm going on vacation, and so I will be coming live from the vacation house. And we're going to talk about how do we stick to our standards. And I also I'll be able to have the guests from the lake house with me, because some of the things that we talked about and some of the things we continue to talk about has really been really a blessing to me. Some of the things that comes to the man, I said Jim yesterday was sharing with me that he write them down. He write down what he's doing, which is so awesome. I know everybody don't like having to write them down, but he showed me an app he had yesterday that he uses to write down. And even as a Christian person, we want to be good stewards. The Bible said be a good steward over what God gives us. So we want to make sure what we're doing, that we are good. We're treating it well. Whatever we have, like my car, we treat it well. It's an investment. We don't eat in my car. We don't have chicken dinners in my car. No, this is an investment. I keep it looking like it is an investment. I treat it as if it's an investment. I treat it as it's something important. I paid a lot of money for that car. So things like that. Just think about the things that we're doing and how they're going to get us to where we want to go. My shoes. If some people buy lots of shoes, make sure you put them in a place that they can still look nice if you're going to spend your money that way. And all of these things are going to help us. First, we're going to save money. Because now you go to get a pair of shoes that you really like, and they piled under it. I remember the lady had them in totes, and in the totes now they bent all over. You can't wear them. You don't want to wear them anymore. But that's your money you just threw away. So think about all of this stuff. Think about yourself. Think about your life. Think about where you want to go. Always start with where you are. Think about where you want to go, and think about how you want to get there. And as for these going live with me, I am always more than happy to go back and share other information. So next week we're going to be coming live from the lake house, and we will be talking about we're going to be finishing up standards. How do we stick to them? We set them. We want to be able to stick to what we do. So we want to stick to them. Thanks again, everyone who came online today with me now. Hi, Cora. Good to see you. Thank you, everyone who came online with me now. And thanks to all of you who will be watching this later on, watching this video later on, and those of you who will be watching via YouTube. I will be uploading to YouTube right now as soon as I'm done here. But we're going to do our affirmations for today, and I really, really appreciate each of you. Our affirmations for today: we honor ourselves by being authentic and whole. We are actually and exactly what and who we claim to be. We are mature in every area of our lives. We are self-aware. We actively practice self-efficacy. We believe in our ability to meet our standards. We believe in it. We can do this. Our bodies are healthy and our minds are at peace. We are confident that we are enough, just the way we are. We find joy in everything that we do, and we are a safe place for ourselves. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you coming live with us today, and I will see you Saturday morning at 8 a.m. with Saturday Morning with Dr. Mama Rosie Thompson. Have a great day, everybody, and thank you.